So firstly, Lucia, thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Sure.
Tell us a little bit about your role.
So I'm Deputy Head of Digital for the Times and Sunday Times. I work across both newspapers and I have a team, a fantastic team which is multidisciplinary. So we have a multimedia team who work with both newsrooms, a small data team, a development team and a community team. And basically we deploy those specialist skills across each of the newsrooms to enhance our journalism and make sure that it really works on digital platforms.
Tell us how digital has changed over the last 5 years.
Well, it's changed massively. I mean, I started life at the Times 13 years ago on the paper, and that digital was kind of this thing that seemed very far away from the job that I did day in, day out. I moved to digital probably about 8 years ago, and at that time digital was in a separate building. It was in the old Rum warehouse, which was apparently haunted, and you had to put your coat on to go to the main building of the newspaper. So again, it was still quite separate. And I suppose over my time in digital, I've seen it kind of become closer and closer to the newsroom and become more and more central to the process of telling stories and getting stories. And I guess over the past 5 years more specifically, 5 years ago we had an entirely free website where we got very excited about page views and unique visitors, and we were in this race to get to the top of the ABCEs, and kind of the Mail Online was always first, but then kind of beating the Guardian and the Telegraph and so on. And a year later we had launched a subscription model, and so our values had really changed. We started to think an awful lot more about engagement, and subscription really kind of changed how we valued our editorial achievement. So we look much more about not just the number of comments, but the nature of comments. We look at how we can bring people into the edition and help them stay for longer. And so that's been a huge transition for us. And I think, you know, getting that into the newsrooms and getting journalists to think about, you know, not just unique visitors, but members of our subscription model has been a big step forward.
How do you actually balance the digital strategy with a more traditional daily news agenda?
Well, at our core, it's all about the journalism, and the Times and Sunday Times journalism is absolutely, you know, the key thing that we do. So in that sense, it's really about extending that journalism onto digital platforms. My team was formed about 18 months ago, and we're very much there to work with the journalists in the newsrooms to enhance our journalism digitally. So it's really about kind of working in concert with those journalists and with that journalism to extend it across our various different platforms, from print right through to web, iPad and smartphone.
In this new digital world, how should PRs be adapting their pitches or thinking about their pitches?
So I think it's really key to understand where the publication is coming from to start with. Some publications will be really thinking about, how do I get lots of page views and unique visitors? For us, with our subscription model, it's much more thinking about engagement. And then I think the next step is looking at what we are able to do across our various different platforms and really thinking about the story from a 360-degree perspective. So if it's a print story, and all our stories should be rooted in print, what can we do on the iPad that really takes that story on? Is there something interactive? Is there some data that we can start to crunch and create some tools for our readers? Is there a video that describes the product in a way that's kind of harder in words? So I think that's really key. And then I think there are sort of maybe more overarching stories, and thinking about how a story might have multiple touch points. So on day one it's published in one way, how might we want to follow that up on day two or the following week? And so I think having that sort of 360-degree view of the story is really key.